Well, thank you so much for that amazing presentation. So ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready for our fourth tip and trick. Please welcome Dr. Gertjan Dikker from the Netherlands.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the Dutch are always very practical, we think, and therefore we decided to get a special issue, deliver a special issue of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery with the contents of this lovely afternoon. We thought you all would appreciate it. But after we did so for a while, we realized that perhaps not all of you could read Dutch as well as we can. So then we thought perhaps we just leave the pages as they are so that you can fill in your own story. That makes us more participation from you all. Thank you. Thank you. However, we didn't think that was a very good idea because that would end you up with all kinds of questions. And we wouldn't have that. We would like to have you all go home with answers. So that was our contribution. Thank you. But as it's not that practical, I would like to, with the permission, I hope, of some of the colleagues here in the audience, I would like to teach you a trick, because you already understood perhaps that I am a magician. And I know that there are some very good magicians in the audience from the board here in Hong Kong. And usually magicians don't explain tricks. We never do such. But I think we're in good company. So for this very first and only time, I'll do so. I'll try to make a little miracle with what we call the magic handkerchief. When I put it into my fist, it takes on another color. When I put it in here, it comes out there because of the dyeing mechanism in my fist, of course. And it comes out in an extremely different color. I'll explain it to you in a second, but would you like to see it again? Okay, there we go. Red goes in here, and it comes out there all white. It goes in all the way, and it comes in out white. Thank you. But now I offer to explain it to you, if you allow me. Of course, you can't do it with just one little handkerchief. You need a second one. And you've got to do some preparation as well. And I tell you, nobody should tell this at home. Just surprise your friends. So you have an empty hand here, and you put this little red handkerchief in your fist so that nobody can see it. And keep it hidden from view all the time, like this. So don't open your hand, because then people will know you have a second handkerchief. You keep your fist closed at all times. Remember that, don't open your fist, never do it. Then you take the white handkerchief, put it in your wrist, and slowly push it inward. And from the other end, you push out the red handkerchief. But, of course, you finish it off very nicely, and then you have this handkerchief in a different color. But one thing is very definitely important. Never, ever open your left hand, otherwise people will know how you did it. Thank you. Thank you. There is a little something I would like to show you. And that's the following. But it is something special. So I'll take off my jacket, otherwise you might not believe what you're seeing. And I roll up my sleeves. Oh, thank you, that's something. And I will show you this. I would like to show you this. Is there anybody in the audience who knows what this could be? An orange. I was afraid so. But that's because you're all from healthcare and you couldn't know. But Dr. Saman, Professor Saman knows. Therefore, I will entrust him with this lovely fruit for just a while. Just keep it in your hands. You may smell it, but please do not eat it. Now, I have another question for you. People may not immediately recognize this, but would any of you, anybody of you even, know what this is? Recognize this? Of course you don't recognize this. This is laundered money. We don't work with this. We are decent people. At least the Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons, not the magicians, of course. We know it only like this. This is the colorful piece of paper we all appreciate. That's the one we know. But it's counterfeit, of course, because I just made it in front of you. So it can't be real. But I think here in Hong Kong you can play with it. It's no problem. But I can teach you how to recognize a phony bill from a real one. Would you know how you could do that? I'm afraid not. I think you never heard perhaps of the folding pattern. No. Okay, I'll tell you. It goes for every type of bill. This happens to be a phony American dollar, and when we see one of the presidents looking us straight in the eye, if I fold the bill once, like this, fold it over another time, fold it again like this, fold it back open again, and then open it up, the president is upside down. This will never happen with a real bill, only with the phony one. Now you know that. There are many phony, many counterfeit bills in the world, but there's always a signature on it from the man who printed it, but never one from the man who owns it. So I'd like to present this bill to you. But would you please put your autograph on the face of the bill? Yes, please, so that you can recognize it later. Thank you. Thank you. Now, there is only one counterfeit bill in the entire world with the autograph of the president of the International Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons. I hope so. There is only one. That will quite do. Now, since it has become your money, I would like to make a bet with you. How many times can you fold a dollar bill? A fake dollar bill? Is it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times? You wouldn't know. Let's have a go. We do it once, twice, third time, fourth time. And with the fifth time, it disappears. Usually, this gets a huge applause. But as we're all working in hospitals, we know how easily other people can make our money disappear. But now for the solution. The tips and tricks. Because the fruit I gave you, Professor Saman, you looked at it. May I have it back, please? Thank you. Thank you for keeping guard. This fruit is not a grapefruit. It's not an orange. It is a fruit of the Citrus celarius minor, fruit of the money tree. It grows all over Hong Kong. You might not have noticed, but they are all around. And this is the season. Sometimes a fruit like this has some coin in it, or a little bill, a Hong Kong dollar, Chinese yen, euro, you never know, really. I'll open it up for you. And now, with my empty hands, I crack it open. And what is inside? There is a bill, a green bill. It looks like a dollar bill, a $1 bill. That's pity, could have been more. But it is a fun thing that it contains the autograph of the president of the International Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Well, that was something I didn't expect. So you don't see that every day. And ladies and gentlemen, please notice that Gert-Jan really is an oral maxillofacial surgeon. Don't think that we just hired a magician to do this. It's really his extra special talent. So thank you, Gert-Jan, for showing your talent.
Where's my bill? Thank you so much. Our next dozen speaker is going to talk to you about narrow-mindedness. So please welcome Dr. Eric Kahugu, representing Africa.
This time for Africa, Django, Django, Samina, Mina, Sakalewa, Anawa, Django, Django, Samina, Mina, Sakalewa, Anawa.
So, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here, and I thank the organizing committee for inviting me. My talk is actually on normal doesn't change the world. I'll be talking about how being a bit different makes things happen. Now, we all, when somebody says that they're going to talk to you about changing the world, one of the things that they always do, yeah, sure. Thank you. When one talks about changing the world, one of the things that comes to your mind is something dramatic. Can somebody do something about the mic?
Can we switch to the hand mic?
Yes, I can use a different mic. Yeah, that's all right. I'll be better. So normal doesn't change the world. So that normal mic that I was using wouldn't have changed it for me. So remember it that way. Normal doesn't change the world. You have to be a bit different and allow the differences in you and the way you approach things change things. So when I was asked to talk here, I think Stefan was a bit worried because he thought I'm going to come here like a prom king and queen and I'll say, I'm going to feed all the hungry in the world. No. What it is, think of the world as a clock, a big clock. Think of the mechanism inside. Every little cogwheel, every little lever, as it moves around, the little effort it does brings about change. Together, it changes the face of that clock. Every second of the day, every minute of the day. And that makes a change. So the little change that you can do in your own environment matters. So Africa, where I'm from, is not this. This is not Africa. This is a desolate picture, bleak picture, where nothing can happen, isn't it? And that, unfortunately, is a picture that is often created by the media, that this is it. Nothing's ever going to happen there. It's a desolate and dark continent. That's not Africa. This is Africa. It's a place which is amazing. Amazing potential, amazing beauty, and amazing people. And a lot can happen. And a lot has happened in Africa. So when you think of Africa, think of this. Always remember this. So, I'm from Nairobi. I'm from Kenya, Nairobi. This is Nairobi, a typical picture of Nairobi on an average day. And Nairobi is an interesting place. We've got the cities like that you can see there. But just within Nairobi, this is my pet gazelle. He's called Bambi. No, I'm kidding. This This is a restaurant, just, a short drive from my house. And as you're eating there, you can see a gazelle walking by. Or you can take a drive a little bit out of Nairobi to one of the parks, and as you're driving there, this guy will be in your path. You've got to stop your car and allow him to walk past. For some people, this actually happens on a day-to-day basis. This is not special. This is just as they're driving home and walking home, they will meet the zebras. So that's Kenya. Or closer to my home, where I'm actually from. You see, I live in Nairobi, but I'm from a place called Nyeri. In that area, you might be sitting at a restaurant, and this guy comes and joins you for a meal. It's a colobus monkey. And, you share your meal with him politely, or he'll steal it. And that's just the norm. So that's the different things that one can see in Nairobi and in Kenya. Or you can go to the beach, our beautiful beach, where the sand, actually, it's a real sand. It's natural. It's not manufactured. So that picture you see isn't photoshopped. That's actually the sand. That's just the way it is. Beautiful sand like that, beautiful beaches, and you can enjoy that all in one country. And all these amazing things are there and available. Or it's the same country where you can choose to invest. We were talking about, almost every talk here has been about revenue. So bring your revenue, please. Buy yourself a holiday home. You'll wake up to this view every day. You'll wake up in the morning, and your balcony, this is the kind of view you'll have. Invest in buying a bit of property there. And these are the kind of things that you can do there. Or you can come for the international jazz concerts. We have them. We have 4 a year. The biggest one is called the Safaricom International Jazz Festival. And we get all the big stars there. They come in and they perform there. All the major jazz musicians, as you'll see later, David Sanborn, you name it, they all come there. So you can come there, you can enjoy a nice holiday, enjoy a beautiful concert, go out to the Mara and do all that. So, how has this happened? Since, according to the thinking, the normal thinking is that you can't do these things in Africa. You come there just to see wildlife and you go away. You can't do a jazz concert. You can't have an ICOMS. Yes, you can. A very big ICOMS. And we'll do it. You can do a lot of things. And how has this happened? By thinking differently. See, normal doesn't change the world. You've got to do things in a different way. So this guy, I'm going to tell you a few things about the things that have happened in Kenya, for example. We started using mobile money transfers because the population has no access to banks. The normal thing that you guys know is banks. You've got a bank account, you do wire transfers, you do this and that, you do SWIFT transfers, but that doesn't work with this population. So somebody somewhere thought out of the box and did it in a different way and said, why don't we make an app where you can, on your phone, you can transfer money? It's grown so big, it's won awards all over the world. It's the biggest in the entire world. It's called M-Pesa, mobile Pesa. Pesa is money. They're up to 22 million users, and it transacts between 2 to 5 billion shillings daily, every single day. That's the volume of transaction. We have something that was launched called M-Shwari. Shwari means loan, so mobile loans on your phone. It's got up to 18 million customers, 100,000 loans daily, every day. It's disbursed, since it was formed a few years ago, $1.5 billion. All repaid. These are unsecured loans. These are not loans that you're going to go and give some collateral. No. These are just simply, it's a bank account on your phone, and guys borrow money to go buy produce, and then they buy the produce, they go sell it. As soon as they've sold it, they pay back on your phone. And that's grown the business so much. So much has grown because of that. This has led to growth of infrastructure, etc. And a lot of companies, having seen this and realized, have come to invest heavily in Africa. We have got the hotel industry investing heavily. We have got the road networks growing, built by the Chinese, of course. All the roads are built by the Chinese, all the hotels, but it's all good. A lot is happening. IBM opened a hub in Nairobi last year, an IT hub for apps development, because they realized this is a place to be. So there's a lot happening. As I mentioned, this thinking, different way of thinking. Can we do jazz concerts in Kenya? Initially, when it came up, everyone was like, what? In Kenya? Why? Who would go for them? They're now the most popular thing. I just watched David Sanborn a month ago at jazz concert. We get guys coming in up to 4 times a year. All the big names in jazz come, and of course, make it a holiday. So come for jazz, and maybe when we have the ICOMS in Nairobi, we'll have a jazz concert next to it. with all the big names. A lot is happening, and a lot of this goes into funding of things. These concerts, I must mention, have got something called the Ghetto Classics. So just quickly and briefly, what did this guy do with this kind of thinking? You see, I believe I can fly. You've got to be different. So I had no money. I was a young man. I had no money for training. I had no access to training, and I wondered what to do. The only way was to get scholarships, because we had no training in Kenya. So I applied, and everybody I applied to rejected me. Because I was too young, there are 100 guys ahead of you who haven't yet done their training. So sorry, I was working in the government. So one day I walked into the Ministry of Health, and you have to remember here, the Ministry of Health back home is, it's like China, there's hierarchy. You just don't go to a minister's office. But I just walked into this guy's office, and I introduced myself. And I told him that, I don't have money, and I need to train to become a maxillofacial surgeon. And can you assist me? Can you recommend me? Then I started looking at adverts for different scholarships, and I found one for Ministry of Education, and it was a Commonwealth scholarship. So I applied, I got this minister's recommendation, and I got it. I actually won it. And I went in a plane with guys who were doing forestry, agriculture, the study of cows, you name it, but we went. And I trained in surgery. When I got to England, I realized that, my goodness, unless I have a fellowship on me, the ones that these guys talked about, I'm not going to get any jobs anywhere. But I was told, sorry, you haven't got the papers, the experience. So I walked into the office of some guy, I don't know, maybe he's the Lord High Chancellor of the Royal College of Surgeons, but he was really some guy, a very serious guy. And I walked into his office, and I think this guy must have been shocked, who's this young whippersnapper coming to disturb me, And I just walked into the guy's office, and I told him my story. And I said, I need to get a fellowship. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I'm not here for that long, and I need to be allowed to sit these exams. I think he went back and just told these guys, there's some funny African fellow that came in my office that's just totally weird, but he actually found it interesting. And they allowed me to go straight in. I did my fellowships. I started working, got my training. So that different thinking allowed me to do things differently. I was told to run a conference in Africa, Pan-African conference. I did the numbers. It's impossible. It wouldn't have worked. We didn't have the money for registration. Nobody would pay it. How are we going to do it? My friend Peter told me, Eric, you've got to do a conference in Nairobi and do it at the international standard. I said, we can do this. I didn't know how to do this. So I thought, how do I do this differently? So we had parties. And I went, had parties, had drinks with people, got to know them personally, chatted with industry, and guess what? They paid for every single thing. Not the usual way. We waived registration fees for everybody from the region who couldn't pay. The companies paid for them, and I managed to do it. So there we are. We've done a big Pan-African conference. Next thing is ICOMS, and hopefully one day I'll be able to sit back like that, relax in my boat, after doing a lot of things. But things are possible, and I'd encourage you to remember that normal doesn't change the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kahugu.
Thank you, Dr. Kahugo, for
nice.
inspirational talk.